Hello everyone, this is Princess here and welcome back to my channel. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about the new event that's coming, or the new difficulty that is coming into Global, which is called Shinryu. And we're also going to talk a little about the force weapons, the new weapon tiers. So we're going to head over to Chapter 8. Alright, so here's just like the little layout of what Chapter 8 looks like. You're going to start over here, and then it ends right over here. So here's the Shinryu. Now, some of the basic stuff that you can see here is that bosses are going to be at level 300, and they're going to have a lot more HP, and there is a reason for that. So with Shinryu fights, so when you start them, let's say I go in with actually, hold on, let me go off screen for a quick second. Alright, so we're over here at the start of Shinryu. So the first thing I want you to notice is these two bars over here. So these are your force gauges, and as the fights go on, the gauges will gradually charge up. So let's say I use this move with Cain here. You can see the gauge is slowly starting to fill up. So the thing about the force gauges, so once the gauge gets to 100%, you can go into what is called force time. And during force time, your attacks are going to deal a lot more damage, and you can also, there's going to be like a little percentage over here. The higher that percentage is, the more HP damage bonus you can do. So, yeah, that's about it. I lost my train of thought there. Keep in mind, though, this does also apply with bosses as well. So, and the thing with bosses is that when they go into force time, their mechanics can change. So, to use the floating eyes here, for example, when they have their force gauge up, they use a bunch of HP attacks that can inflict paralysis. So that's why I have Lena here, just to kind of combat that. And for the floating eyes, their force gauge, their force time is going to be for about 3 turns. But for any player, or for any character, the force time is always going to be at 10. It's always going to be at 10 turns, I should say. So, and then another thing to note is that if you are going into a Shinryu, you are going to need the new tier weapon, which are force weapons. So, oh yeah, and another thing about force weapons, well, this is just like, just a little, I guess kind of going a little further ahead, but, if you have the featured force, then you can actually cancel out the boss's force time, and it will just deplete to 0. So, like, with force time, whenever the force time is up, the gauge drops down to 0, and then gradually fills up again. Alright, so with that being said, hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. I was just looking at my script just to make sure I got everything written down. So now I'm just going to back out here for a second so that I can talk about the force weapons, like what they look like, and then how you upgrade them. So I won't show off Cain's force just yet. I'm just going to save that for the actual video. So we're going to head over to my inventory, and just to show off like the force weapons. So give me 1 second. Alright, so if we just go over to Cain here. So this weapon right here, this is a force weapon. So this is the new weapon that you're going to need when you get into Shinryu. And it is highly recommended that you go into a fight with a force weapon. Or sorry, that you go into a Shinryu with a force weapon. Do not attempt to do a forceless run. The bosses are going to have a lot of HP, so it's going to be a really, really long fight if you're not using a force weapon. So to upgrade the force weapons, you are going to need what is called high power stones. So if we just go over to my inventory. So this right here is a high power stone. It's going to be this new type of stone right over here. Now to make this, you need exactly 20 power stones and 50,000 gil. But the thing is, if you wanted to make 12 of them, you're going to need 240 power stones and 600,000 gil to make 12 of them. So my advice for you for this is to only make high power stones for forces that you're actually going to use. If you're like me and if you got force weapons for characters that you're never going to use, then yeah, that's definitely a waste of high power stones, so don't be like me, don't do that. One other thing I forgot to mention is that when you limit break a high power stone, or sorry, when you limit break a force weapon, limit break a high power stone, I can't believe I said that. So if I was to go to, I don't know if it will show, okay, it does show right here. So let's say, for example, so you're going to see this blue material right over here, these blue pyramids. So these are called force stones, and you get 2 of these when you max limit break a force weapon. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, so with force weapons, just kind of going back to Kane over here for a second. So with force weapons, I think it, yeah, shows right over here. So these are the passives. So at 1 out of 3, this will add another use to a force skill. When you have a force weapon, you only have 1 skill use, but when you max limit break it, you get another one, so you have it for 2 total. And then for 2 out of 3, this will add a 10% bonus when the force time starts, and then a 20% before force time ends. So basically more HP damage bonus. And then at 3 out of 3, the force time is extended to 5 more turns. Initially, when you have them, when you have an just like a regular force weapon, the force time will just be for 5 turns. But when you max limit break it, it gets another 5 turns, so you have it for 10 total. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about are the force enhancements. So if you look closely at the party here, you may notice these little swirly blue things that swap over with their levels. So we go over to the menu for a second, and at the very top you're going to see this new button over here. So we go over here, and these are where you can do force enhancements. So force enhancements, let's say I go to someone like Paladin Cecil over here. So you can force enhance a character 30 times, and what you're essentially doing is you're enhancing force time, you're enhancing their skills, and their HP damage bonus. Now, in order to enhance a character, you need 50,000 enhancement points, character points, sorry, and you need about 64 shards. So these are the 4 shards right over here. You get about 20 of these from completing a Shinryu. That's also how you get a high power stone. And then these are the 4 stones over here. So that's pretty much all you need. It is pretty pricey though, so like with force weapons, I would just recommend giving force enhancements to characters that you're going to use. If you have enough for a favorite, then I would probably do that too. I actually did that with, where is she? With Rydia. So she gets her force enhancements when 6-man area 2 drops, and that was when I gave her enhancements, but when I had the materials for it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the changes in terms of banners and then with difficulty. So with banners, nothing really changes, but the drop rates for force weapons are going to be the same as LD weapons. So again, not really much of a change here, but just don't expect to get it easily. Alright, so we're back here on Chapter 8 now. So if you notice, it just goes to Lufenia and then Shinryu instead. So that's because Cosmos and Lufenia Plus are going to be completely gone now. It's not going to be like the standard stages, then EX, then Cosmos, then Chaos, and then Lufenia Plus. So Cosmos and Lufenia Plus are going to be removed, but Chaos and Lufenia stages are going to stay. But keep in mind that in order to complete them both, you do need to have a team of synergy characters, and you can't use a friend support, which honestly is really easy these days. If you have a lot of like built characters, then this should not be a problem for you. If not, then don't worry. If it's like permanent content like story or lost chapters, then you can always come back to it. Another thing is that the rewards that you get from Lufenia Plus and then Chaos, like the burst tokens from the challenge quests, well, actually, yeah, hold on. Challenge quests are also removed as well, but this does not mean that the burst tokens are gone. You can still get them from completing Chaos. And then for rewards from Lufenia Plus, like the 5 burst nuggets, and then like the burst book, you can just get that through Lufenia now. And then for the Shinryu, so like I mentioned, the rewards are going to be 1 high power stone and then 20 force boards. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. So that's covering up everything for Shinryu and then for force weapons. So that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you are excited for force weapons and for Shinryu. And I will see you all next time.